Well, I left the last video talking about how the walls between myself and the Catholic Church had begun to break down through both my attendance in the Catholic Mass whenever I was able to attend, and in my reading. But I also ended saying that my catechumenate in the Orthodox Church ended because of some personal reasons. And these reasons are very personal to me, so I won't go too deep into them. But partly, a small part of it was Hurricane Katrina had hit, and transportation to the Orthodox Church became a little bit harder, and it became a little easier to stay home. But that being said was only a very small part. For a while, I kind of threw up my hands and gave up on the thought of becoming an Orthodox Christian or a Catholic, and I began attending my wife's church again, which is a Pentecostal church. Ironically, the same church I was raised in as a child. And so I tried to fit in again, but all these ideas were in my mind, and these questions about historic Christianity. I believe it was Cardinal Newman who said something like, to be steeped in history is to cease to be Protestant. And for me, at least, this had become true. So in my heart of hearts, I could no longer consider myself to be a Protestant. I had ceased protesting against much of what Protestants originally protested against. And through my reading about the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, I came to see that the papacy is the key issue. And frequently in Orthodox circles you hear things like, in the undivided church, X, Y, and Z was not true. Or the papacy in the undivided church, the church of the first 1,000 years. But as I began reading history, I began seeing problems with that statement, with that unnuanced statement. And a lot of times there was no nuance to statements like this. And reading particular things really opened me up to the idea that the papacy found in the Catholic Church, the See of Peter, the office of Peter, is a necessary ingredient to historic Christianity. Have there been abuses? Yes. Have there been misuses? Yes. But God never said His church would be perfect. He said the gates of hell would not prevail against it. And so these walls to the Catholic Church were basically demolished. And so I began, during my lunch break at work, I started going to the Catholic Mass, daily Mass, whenever I could. And I approached the priest. I told him I wanted to become Catholic, and he said, a great Irish priest, he said, we have RCIA starting soon. And so I began attending RCIA classes, and honestly, during this period, I was kind of quiet about becoming Catholic. And as you can see, I'm not that quiet anymore. But even right now, a lot of people that I'm close to, a lot of people I grew up with or am around a lot, don't know that I'm Catholic. I've only been Catholic since Easter and of this year. And I haven't publicized it or got up on the rooftops and proclaimed it, but I'm not ashamed of it. But I do know that there are elements of those who I associate with who are very anti-Catholic. Heck, I was anti-Catholic. I remember handing out chick tracts some years ago when I was a youth minister, trying, to win lost souls to Christ, and I lumped Catholics in to that group. And I just appreciate that God has given me the grace to find Him in the church. And I just want to briefly say, when I close this out, I'm sorry I took so long getting to this, but the number one issue, and I want to address this in the next video as my first issue that I found in the church fathers that led me to the Catholic Church. The number one issue that brought me to Catholicism was Christ in the Eucharist. Now, when I was a Protestant, when I was a Pentecostal, the Eucharist, or what they called the Lord's Supper, was not even celebrated twice a year, if that. And surely not once a month, or once a quarter, or once a week. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I became hungry for the Lord's Supper, for the Eucharist. And that was one of the leading issues that led me to the Catholic Church. And in the next video, I want to address those things I found in the Church Fathers that really threw the doors open to the possibility of me becoming a Roman Catholic. And I'll end that video with that. I thank you for putting up with this story about my journey to Catholicism. If you're a Catholic or a Christian of any sort, I covet your prayers. As I said, I live in an area that's pretty anti-Catholic, but God is full of grace and mercy. And I know that Archbishop Fulton Sheen said that the Catholic Church, or most people who hate the Catholic Church, don't hate the Catholic Church. They hate what they think is the Catholic Church. Their misconceptions of the Catholic Church. And I hope that I can play a small part on YouTube and on the internet of bringing those walls of misconceptions tumbling down for others, so that they may find fullness of the faith in the church that Christ founded.